great to have Paul Brownlow from Double Down Interactive. Obviously, Double Down was the most successful early social casino game companies in the space, acquired by IGT a little over a year ago.
Yep,
And Paul's going to talk to us. He runs the mobile group there, so he's going to talk to us about business outside of Facebook.
Thank you. Like I say, I promise no pratfalls, at least nothing planned. So I am going to talk today a bit about what we've done moving casinos off of Facebook, but also helping you understand that Facebook is still a very key part of driving success. And what we're going to talk about here too is also translatable to other types of games. So it's not just, we're focused on casinos, but if you have a non-casino game, you can do some of these same things. And I thought it was useful that we kind of look back at what's happened in history here to really kind of help guide us going forward. A lot of things, games have been around for a long time, and I think social gaming really started back here before paper and scissors, and it's probably pretty frustrating. Good thing that paper and scissors got invented so we could move beyond that. And then it's a good thing that the wheel came along afterwards so we could finally start our first casino. But really, I mean, so these wagering games have been around for a long time. There's actually a good story about two kings, Olaf, and that's because, of course, they're from Sweden and Norway, and they settled a land dispute by rolling dice. And so the high stakes have been around for a long time. It's evolved. We kind of got guns involved and got liquor involved, and the next thing happened is we had poker halls, and the social aspect started. All that fun aside, fast forward 100 years, and a few of us in the room are old enough to remember this when we brought a Pong game home. But the big break here was a big change here is that we could then bring these casual games into our living rooms, and the console was born. And only a couple of years later, in 1978, the first console casino game came out. Right? Very rudimentary. I don't know if that's an ace of spades or ace of clubs, but it was an ace of something. And that quickly evolved into the first online games, about mid '80s. Quantum Link had an online gaming service, and that was later sold to AOL. And one thing that was significant about this is, again, it brought games to your desktop, and led to a huge explosion of home casino games. Right? Great, people like to play that at home, and in parallel, mobile actually started. Right? I mean, I had a Game Boy. I don't know how many of you had Game Boys. Fantastic. Playing games in the palm of your hand, and consoles evolved, and so did the games. Up in the upper left, that's a Game Boy poker tournament. And a good thing that's happened over time is that the devices have gotten better, they've gotten smarter, and the biggest thing is that the user experience has really improved. Right? The graphics are all very, very sharp and responsive, and that's just increased player engagement and player enjoyment. So, kind of looking back at this, we kind of look ahead, and we've all been hearing that we're in this revolution, and kind of wonder, is it really a revolution or just evolution? And we started out, again, like I said, with Quantum Link for online games, and that blew out a casino category that was on your desktop, and now we have Facebook games. The mobile games started with the Game Boy and the PlayStation Portable, and we now have better devices suited for that, but really kind of the same activity. We're doing it on phones and on tablets. And the consoles, at least for casual gaming, and have evolved to a point now where there are downloadable apps on your TV, app stores on your TVs, and there's some pretty interesting extension devices, these sub $100 devices like GameStick or Ouya that are pretty interesting for being able to distribute your games. So there's a lot of things that really have just been evolutionary over the last 40 years in this gaming industry. So kind of step back and think about, so what's different, right? So why is this better, and and how do we take advantage of that? So we kind of look. The first thing is that now we can play anywhere. Just think back about those slides that we were looking at with the rudimentary Pong game or the Rabbit Jack Casino. You had to make a decision about, one, what game you're playing, what the interface is, how, where you're going to play it. You carve out specific time to play. The great thing now is that with the evolution of these platforms is that we now actually can play anywhere. The same games are available across all the devices, and that's what our players want. Is they don't want to have to decide, it's like, oh, I want to go play this slot game, I'm going to play it over on my desktop, and now I'm away or I'm sitting on my couch and I can't do that while I'm watching, I don't know, The Bachelorette or something. And the other part is that we have a seamless playing experience. You can see here that in this case, my chip balance travels with me from my desktop to my iPad to my phone to my TV. It's all single account, and the game is tailored for the device that I'm playing on. Again, all this just leads to better user experience. This is what players want. They don't want to have to learn, oh, I'm playing blackjack over in this one casino and it behaves one way, I play it over on my phone, it's a different way. So this is kind of the promise, right? So we build our products with this in mind because it's more value. And so we think, okay, we've got this great product and we'll just kind of throw it in the App Store and magically something good will happen. Well, actually it doesn't. We end up with a field of dreams. It's nice and empty. So what do we do? So the next thing we think about is about distribution. How do we get this out to people? Now at Double Down, we started out, we went to Facebook. Facebook has 1 billion users worldwide, and obviously a subset of that on games, but it's a very good place to be able to build an audience. And it's still very important to us. I mean, it's still a great place where millions of people come to play every day. But when we start thinking about trying to reach those, give people this anywhere experience, play anywhere experience, we really need to think about the different distribution channels. All of a sudden, we have a lot more places that people go and find games. In some areas, they find them in their carrier decks still today. Not only AT&T and Verizon, but also internationally, the same thing. Obviously, the app stores and those are continuing to grow. Amazon has actually a very interesting and well-performing app store. Desktop distribution can increase. So there's opportunities like Yahoo Games or Google Chrome Store or your own distribution, your own website for a hosted game. The device manufacturers are also having their own stores, as are aggregators such as PlayPhone and others. So all of a sudden we got this great opportunity to get the games not only on all these devices, but also in front of people a number of different ways. So our business gets more complicated. And when we get in the App Store, it's not just about throwing something in the App Store. We need to think about and develop relationships so that we can be discoverable, right? So getting placement is important, and this is either through editorial or through or there's paid placement available. So being able to let people find your games is important. Being able to allow them to find it through search. Here's, in the iTunes store, there's probably 50 slot games, and so it's important that you optimize so that you're seen right away on the first page, because it's unlikely somebody's going to scroll through a lot. And thirdly, just again trying to find, just being discoverable. Charting is pretty important and drives organic growth. Being in one of these 3 charts is pretty important. So because again, it's another place where people go to find your app. So what's happened really is that our business has moved from being kind of relatively simple, one-stop shop with Facebook, right? Facebook providing distribution, providing merchandising opportunities in their store, and an ad network, and support for that discoverability, providing payment processing through Facebook credits, and having one way for people to buy, and also the technology and platform. And you choose, you have one application to support. And big challenge about when we're looking at going off of Facebook is that becomes a lot more complex. And this is really, I mean, this is only just a small part of the globe here, but you can see that distribution. There's a lot more distribution opportunities here. We have to make decisions about where we want to distribute and how we want to get our games in front of people, and we also then have to figure out what platforms we may be. You can see there's a number of different platforms with iOS and Windows 8, and that list keeps growing. Payment processing, some of the app stores provide it, some also, it's advantageous in some locales to be able to have third-party processing because people buy things differently in Europe, for example. There's a lot more carrier billing in Europe than there is in the United States. So being able to do things like that support the way that people want to buy your buy your in-game credits or your game. And then again, the merchandising is not only working with the traditional app stores, but also there are other places that each one of these distributors here will, a lot of times they'll run a layer on top of Google Play, for example, to promote specific apps. And so being able to have to work with these parties in order to be able to make your app discoverable is important. So a lot of work to do on that. And then additionally, because of this complexity on the technology and development side, we've increased the decisions here too. So you have to decide: am I going to? Is it really important for me to, in my game, to be able to hit a lot of different devices all at once, or can I afford to scale up and have experts for each type of device? Right. So a couple different approaches would be to have a team, a Windows 8 team and an iOS team and an Android team with all specific talent in those areas. The challenge there is keeping your products in lockstep and communicating to your customers and your players. And you're having to field questions like why is this available on iPhone and not on Android? And it's confusing. The other side is going to HTML5, which is extremely portable but also less performant. So and one thing that we've done is we've taken a hybrid approach where where we need to, we have native application support, and where we want to have broad distribution, we use HTML5 capabilities. And what that allows us to do then is have that seamless user experience across all devices that is high value for the customers, and also allows us to be able to publish games on a very regular basis. We push out games at least every couple weeks, and if we were going to be doing that, releasing through native stores, we'd have to go through the approval process in those. So this is something you think about, but there's complexities on both sides. And so this is a lot of stuff to kind of to think about, and really got to think about why do we even want to do this. And it goes back to the premise here is that 1 + 1 does equal 3 in this case. We're doing this because it's a better user experience, and our players love it. And what that allows us to do is engage more deeply with players. We see reduced mobile churn when players can play both on Facebook and play through other channels. We see increased monetization in the neighborhood of 10 or more %. And so this is why you want to do this, and distribute off of Facebook. Again, Facebook is still a very key part of this strategy, but being able to be aware of kind of all the complexities and make decisions around in these areas of merchandising, distribution, and payment processing is important for your success in distributing directly on devices. So with that, I happy to take questions. If not, I'll do some more pratfalls.
I had a question.
Yeah.
One of the older applications on Facebook, as you moved up now from mobile into the platform, was there a lot of tech debt that had to be changed to get compliance with the new platform, new technology?
So our mobile effort was really started as a new effort, right? So clean slate on that. We have a lot of shared infrastructure, which actually was architected very well to be able to have other types of technologies built onto it. So the amount of tech debt is less than one might expect, right, because of the original architecture. Yes?
Does your do your land-based operations help you distribute the interactive stuff as well? Is there a connection?
The biggest connection right now is that we have the very popular land-based titles that are distributed through both our desktop and our mobile products. So, and that's one of the big values we have is that it's a true authentic experience. So that's the level of support that we get at this point. Yeah. Pardon? Our mode of monetization is strictly in-app purchase. So we don't, most people play for free. We're not doing any offer walls. We're not doing any video ads or that kind of monetization. Just direct IAP. Yes?
So iOS versus Android, can you talk about the implementation trade-offs between them and the business results?
Yeah, so from the implementation standpoint, because we're HTML5, there's not really a lot of difference that we have to do there. I mean, there's optimizations that one might have to make. They're really more device-based for rendering, things like that. On the monetization side, we all see the same kinds of things that are, I think everybody in the market sees, that iOS monetizes at a much higher rate than Android. And believe a lot of that is also just because of the ease of payment with iOS. Yes?
So you showed a logo for Windows 8.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing on Windows 8? And what's the traffic monetization on it?
So for us, Windows 8 is something that we're monitoring, right? So I mean, we haven't seen it proven as a viable game platform yet, but it doesn't mean that it can't. We're able to move very quickly again with our HTML5 strategy, but we look at that and it hits about 2 or 3% of the devices, and there are other types of devices that have larger market share at this point. Anything else? Oh, one more. Go ahead.
So my second question.
Yes.
Since you have a casino, you have more male-oriented games, female-oriented games. Have you had much success in terms of moving those, additional genres of, women slot players into video poker or hold'ems?
Our audience is they're casino fanatics, right? So they have similar behavior as what you would see in line-based. So for people have favorite games, and I think that it's just a casino is really an aggregated audience rather than a portable audience. And I think you'll see the same thing if you were to go over to the Bellagio or something like that. Okay.
On smart TV, are you supporting gesture-based smart
Pardon me?
gesture-based?
Gesture-based, not currently. Gesture-based, I think, is again when some of the decisions you need to make, and what I'm trying to help you understand here is that there's a lot of variables here. Kind of have to look at what is the in the case of gesture-based, that's a subset of all the smart TVs that are available, right? So so doing the ROI on that is kind of look at how much dev time does it take me to do that and maintain that with how many customers am I going to get off of that, right? So just and it's very similar to the Windows 8 question. Yes. The percent split, we're seeing about half, 50-50, I think, somewhere in there. I mean, it's somewhere in there. Got a minute? Anybody else want to take the last minute? There you go, okay.
Acquisition costs, so just curious, it's getting very wild, but in general, comparing acquisition costs, buying ads in the open market versus your distribution partners.
Yeah, we don't. So we look at the distribution partners as being, and those relationships as additive, right? So we do broad acquisition, and the cost for acquisition on those, we really look at a blended cost on that, to meet our goals. So and we have our targets there. So I don't really look at saying, oh, it's a lot cheaper to go off and buy in the open market than it is through a partner. It's just part of an overall strategy.
You started, of course, acquisition costs from much lower than they are now.
We actually haven't seen a lot of change. Yeah. On mobile, presently we require connection because we have tournaments and they require kind of live connections that way, and also the serving technology that we have is that and part of that is because we're using these are authentic casino games, the same games that IGT has in land-based casinos. So there's certain certain things about those models that require us to be connected. Okay, is that it? Well, thank you.